So I'm going to kick it off. I want to know what is driving growth in Pompano Beach.
It was only a matter of time, I think, for people to realize the potential that Pompano has. The natural growth that we've seen in South Florida is shifting north, and for some reason, there was a skip between Fort Lauderdale all the way to Boca, and Pompano was missed. Even though if you look outside, it has one of the widest beaches you'll find in South Florida, and you have all the kind of entertainment you want directly on the sand. But compared to Fort Lauderdale, you have to walk across the street from your hotel or walk across the street from your restaurants to get to the beach, where, as you can see where you're sitting out, you are on the beach. So I think the city, I credit to Mayor Hardin and his staff, have pumped in a lot of money for infrastructure, new parking, and the vision of creating this Pompano fishing village. People have realized that Pompano is a true gem and really still a value on a price-wise as compared to the rest of the South Florida market.
Mayor Hardin, do you want to add anything to that?
Well, ditto, exactly. I mean, it's all because of me. No, it's just, I have to admit, it's a great time to be the mayor of the city of Pompano Beach, but it's what Nick was talking about is actually correct. We were skipped. Pompano Beach, I've been here since 1963. I grew up here, I love it. But Pompano Beach was really stuck in a rut for many, many years. There were jokes about us because we didn't want development, didn't want things to happen. Even though we had the best beach in Broward County in South Florida, my estimation. But finally we had a change of administration at the commission level, which then led to some positive changes at the staff level, and the entire attitude of the city really changed, which then it was like, well, wait a minute, we need development in Pompano Beach. We need things to happen here. The demographics of the city also changed. Before all these condos along here, they were occupied by people who had retired from up north. They came down here because it was quiet. They wanted their nice place on the beach. They wanted their retirement here. But that has changed over time. We've got people, in their 20s and 30s now who live here and they want things to do. And so the atmosphere changed, the political will changed, and luckily the dollars changed also. And as Nick pointed out, Pompano Beach was and still is undervalued in comparison to surrounding communities. So that's what really changed the game and the things that we invested in, as Nick mentioned, because we knew we had to invest in the infrastructure. We don't do private development, we do public stuff, and that's like parking garages, that's like sewage pipes, storm drainage, things like that. And it just all came together, and it's led to a real renaissance, which now we are building on that for the future of Pompano Beach. We're not going to stop.
So our first development, we are very proud to say we are officially 100% sold with Solimar just up the street. I would say for all of us in South Florida in the real estate industry, COVID was kind of a blessing. People made a shift in their lifestyle, realizing that they could really work from anywhere, and realizing that they wanted to be in a climate where they could enjoy the outdoors year-round. So the demographics of our buyers range from about 35 to 60. And those are some primary home buyers and some second home buyers. And so we really noticed that people wanted more space to live, especially with dens. So we created Solimar with 2 and 3 bedrooms. It was extremely successful and saw people wanted even larger spaces. So we took that learning and applied that to Casamar, which is mainly 3 and 4 bedrooms, which has done extremely well so far. We are now proud to announce that we're 60% sold just under a year of sales. So I think the demographic is getting younger. Pompano is getting younger. It's getting more energetic, and that's not because of it's not just because of a fluke, right? The investment in the city, the quality of developments we're bringing, the new restaurants that are coming, the culinary scene is becoming world class. So I think the demographic is shifting younger, but I think that's better because it gives more energy to the city.
Just a pandemic funk, and so we needed a change, and visited our friends who lived in the area, and was going to get camping. My background is really using art and culture to drive economic development. And so I saw Pompano as one of the few communities that wasn't fully developed, and there was an opportunity to really kind of plant art and culture and the DNA of some of the big developments that are coming, in particular the new downtown that's planned at Dixon Highway in Atlanta.
So can you elaborate a little bit on some of the things that you're doing?
Well, my department puts on about 250 events every year. Our primary venues are the Cultural Center, which is at Atlantic and Dixie, the Bailey Contemporary Arts Center, which is in Old Town, and also the Ally Cultural Center, which is on West MLK. And these three venues are about a mile apart, but they really traverse three different neighborhoods that have always been a little disconnected. And so one of the items that I proposed, which is in our fiscal year budget, which starts October 1st, is to create a culture trail, to create a cultural tourism asset that really distinguishes Pompano and tells the story of Pompano, but becomes kind of an experiential art walk along this 1 mile trail with shade structures and opportunities for people to stop along the way and really kind of have a cultural tourism asset created in our community that benefits not only residents but the tourists that are starting to come more and more into Pompano.
I wanted to ask too, compared to maybe Miami or the parts of South Florida, I think it's still kind of viewed as a garden. Are you seeing, and maybe this is more for the developers, are you seeing prices really increase?
I'll take that. I mean, my thoughts of Pompano going back to when we grew up, we would only come to Pompano to visit our grandfather, right? So it was a very sleepy town. Like Nick said, it was almost forgotten. Nobody really thought of ever really going to Pompano unless you were a snowbird and kind when we bought our first piece of land, which is Solomar, I think it was in 2010, 2011, coming out of the recession, we were buying beachfront property at extremely low price. We said there's no way we can lose money. I mean, it makes no sense, right? I mean, we're saying we're paying $10 here for a piece of land on the beach, when Miami Beach would be $100, right? So we saw that, and we didn't launch that project for many years, right? Everywhere else was developing, Miami Beach was developing, Boca Raton was developing, Fort Lauderdale was developing, Hallandale. So there was all this development, but Pompano was completely missed. And thankfully, we waited. We actually almost sold the land, but then you actually. We're sitting there in the meeting, and I told my father, I said, what are we doing? This is beachfront, right? I mean, yeah, it may be a sleepy town, but at some point, it's filling in from the north, filling in from the south. This is valuable land. So, like Nick said, the first project was Solomar coming out of COVID. Didn't know what to expect. So we were a little nervous in pricing, and we opened our sales center. The next week, we were shut down because of COVID, right? So it wasn't a great opening, meaning opening and having to close, but sales never stopped. So sales continued, and actually we sold out Solomar, I would say, in record time in probably 4 or 5 months, at around an average of $850 a foot. Then there was really no competition. Sabia Beach was done much earlier, and so we were able to acquire the second set of Casamar, and that's where we saw a significant increase in pricing. Land cost was a little bit more, but Pompano was still willing to pay those higher prices because when you compare Pompano to Fort Lauderdale to Miami Beach, I mean, we're more than 50% cheaper, right? And I think Solomar, we're averaging about a little over $1,000 a foot. Casamar, over $1,000 a foot, and see a very strong response. And that response is basically from 2 areas. We're getting people coming from the west end, selling their home, moving to the beach. Maybe their kids are out of the house now, they want a simpler life, and a huge northeast influx. So a lot of New Jersey, a lot of New York. We've seen some Canadians come back into the market, even Midwesterns come back to the market. And we think there's a significant amount of growth still for pricing in Pompano, because it's still in our opinion, probably the most undervalued real estate in South Florida. If we were to launch another project coming out of around now, construction prices are higher, land prices are higher, we would be well over $1,500 a foot. And we are looking at other opportunities within this market and also a little bit north that will start at 1,500 and 2,000. So there's still a lot of price appreciation for that buyer, right? And related, we try to pass on that to the buyer so that they feel by the time they close, there's a reason why they're buying new construction, because they get that benefit. That was a long-winded answer, but I think I answered your question.
Yeah, so I grew up in Fort Lauderdale and good right leg back here. And actually, to JP's point, I valet parked at the Houston's because it was such an older crowd going there that I could still finish work and go meet up with my friends after. It was a perfect job for high school. And so that's what Pompano was, but it was always beautiful. But if you think about even Fort Lauderdale, where we started there in 1986, that market went through a downturn, and then the community the leadership got together and said, we are going to commit to doing something big, a big beach walk. We're going to redo Los Angeles. The community committed, and the private sector stepped up. Collectively, we're working together to promote a destination, a place, because we need strong leadership. I just found out, as my mom found out I was coming here, that they're going to do a Diwali event here in Pompano. So from Houston to Diwali, it's like, which is the Indian New Year, so it's like, my mom was very happy. So like, that's the changing demographic that has occurred. We've seen it in Fort Lauderdale. We spent 16 years in downtown Miami on a big project called Miami Worldcenter, and just received unanimous approval today on a project we're doing together there. And these things take time and energy and coordination with leadership in the community to make sure it's what people want. And so I get to be here because my brother's out of town, but in 2011, similar to when David bought their first site, he bought 6 acres, 2 on the ocean, 4 on the intercoastal. And when we were doing that apartment building, it was so hard to get people to understand Pompano because we were going to be charging rents never seen. All the buildings were older, the demographic was very different, but we far exceeded rents. The demographics were across the board, true renters by choice. And we sold that and broke a record for all of South Florida for a mid-rise apartment in Pompano Beach. And meanwhile, just 3 years earlier, we're fighting to get it financed. And so I think when you get Pompano's experiencing one of these incredible transformations where the public sector has drawn a line in the sand and said, this is what we are doing. They're committed. Dog-friendly beach, brand new pier, restaurants, parking, infrastructure, attracting people and making it clear that we want to preserve the quality of life here, but elevate it, right? Better restaurants, better buildings, but also still beautiful beaches, everyone's friendly. You walk around here, it's just a great place, which I think is very important. And so for us, when we look at the Pompano demographic, it's truly people who want that quality of life. Someone said it, right? COVID changed the way people want to live. People love good weather, people love great beaches, but people also love other great people. And Pompano is now discovered, and I think we'll continue to see it elevated stature globally.
Are you having trouble now just finding new opportunities? Is it because it's gotten more expensive and there are more people paying attention?
Yeah, JP changed his mind. We were this close. Thankfully, we still own 2 acres on the ocean, so
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously harder and harder. I mean, obviously Casamar was an existing building that we're actually knocking down now. We're still looking at other buildings along the beach, but those are a process, right? Those are going to be going at a certain percentage of unit owners, so it's not as easy as vacant land anymore. And obviously, with the success of our project and others, there's a lot more eyes now on Pompano. So a lot more competition, but scarcity is good.
Amber, I did want to ask also, are you planning to open any more restaurants? Are you also experiencing more competition?
Yeah, we're definitely experiencing more competition, but one of the things that's unique about the restaurant industry is we work off of agglomeration. So we're excited to see more restaurants come in the area, and it becomes a draw. People want to come here to the fishing village because they have a multitude of choices and they can have many visits. So yes, we're getting creative. I was gonna say the competition is good, but I think it challenges us as developers and investors in the marketplace to get creative. You have to, it's not as plain sight, the empty lot as you guys were saying. We have to get creative about, new opportunities. And so yes, we're always looking for new opportunities. We're just, working on something last week. Not really sure.
Just to follow up on that, you all did great. You've got this beautiful business right here, Oceanic, but then you guys open next door, Lucky Fish. So that's completely different, but it gave people something different here. And I know that you duplicated that. So it's, you've been creative, and that's great for Pompano Beach. Of course, it's kind of the hallmark of your company. Thank you for that.
Are there any challenges with the mayor, just with kind of, are you at all trying to control the growth? Is it, are there any challenges that you see down the line?
Yes, of course. I mean, there's always challenges anytime you're talking about development in any area, I don't care if it's South Florida or the Midwest or where it is. People don't like change. And, so yes, it's challenging always to try and change the course of the community like we have in Pompano Beach. I was talking earlier with Amber and Ty that when we were envisioning, when we were first starting the beach area here, people were ready to basically just hang us out to dry as far as the elected leadership, because we were talking about a drastic transformation of this area, changing their way of life. The same people who were ready to vote us out of office and stone us in the village square, they now today say, wow, you guys did a great job there. Yeah, we knew you'd do it all along. Yeah, of course, sure. You're always a hero afterwards. So yeah, there are challenges afoot, but we try to stay true to what Pompano Beach is. And I know, Nitin, he was talking about that, but Pompano Beach it's unique. We've got a hometown feel here. And honestly, nothing against any other community. I've got great things to say about Fort Lauderdale, great things to say about Boca, but we don't want to be Fort Lauderdale. A lot of people look at that and say, Pompano is great because if you really want to do some, fancy nightlife stuff, you can run down to Fort Lauderdale real quick, but you don't have that in Pompano Beach, which makes it more desirable because it's the quality of life, and that's what people are looking for. But it's a challenge to try and keep that quality of life and keep control. I know that the development community, nothing against you guys, but they want to build. They want to make things happen, and that's exciting, and we need that. But we want to make sure that we're not Sunny Isles Beach. We're not Fort Lauderdale. We're not just some other beachside community that got overbuilt and lost the feel of the city. And that's so. It's a balancing act. We've got deep history here in Pompano Beach. We've got, I know we're sitting in the beach area, but Pompano Beach is a big city. We've got a lot of areas outside of this area where there's a lot of opportunity, but there's also a lot of history in Pompano Beach. We're a farming community, as a lot of areas were in this neck of the woods. So we still have original people who used to farm the land here, and trying to meld the developments into the historic aspect of our city, that is a challenge. And it's one that the elected leadership is sensitive to, and we want to make sure we don't lose the flavor of our community. So that's something we always have on our plate. So yes, challenge it is.
I think arts and culture plays a big role in that, right?
But there's Old Town Square, a residential tower that's going up there that will really be transformative for a lot of our art and culture events that take place in that immediate area, because we'll have, I think they're expecting about 400 people to live there. So we'll have foot traffic, we'll have purchasing power. That has been lacking in that area for some time. So we have a monthly event called Untapped that takes place the first Friday of every month in that area. And so we're really trying to integrate some of our other programs into that Untapped, which is kind of a street festival with a kind of a classic rock and roll band traditionally. So we're changing up the music and introducing other programs. For example, on October 7th, we're going to introduce some salsa dancing to that crowd and really kind of diversify the offering and expose people from Pompano to a lot of different types of culture.
I also want to ask about amenities. Is there anything you need to to your projects here that the buyers are looking for?
Well, we were trying to curate an amenity package for Casamar. We're fortunate in both Solomar and Casamar, we all know way too well in South Florida that once the day reaches about 1, 2 o'clock, that it shades the beach. So we programmed both buildings to have pools on both the ocean side and on the west side deck. So you can really have a full day in the sun, which I think has been a huge attribute and a huge part of our success. And then I have to credit Wendy Marks back here, who's our sales director for both properties. But we had this kind of blank canvas to curate our amenities, and she said, "We need a pickleball court." And I said, "What is pickleball?" It's the rage. I'm putting one in my new house. So thanks to her, we incorporated a pickleball court at Casamar, and I think that has been a huge part of our success as one of the offerings. But not only do you need a gym, COVID, made people come, kind of be siloed, but then also as coming out of it, we're humans. We need to interact. We need to be social. So people like a sense of community also where they live. So we have expansive party rooms, lounges, golf simulators, where there are the opportunities for community members of the building to get together. So it's really creating a space that's welcoming, where you can have your own space, but also socialize with your neighbors.
How about you, Nitin?
Yeah, I think Nikki, on all cylinders. Fortunately, there's the beach, so that helps. But I think the programming is great. And I find within these buildings that are smaller, these boutique buildings, there's a community that forms within the residences. These are like-minded people that have come from different places, whether as JP said, whether it's from Weston or from Chicago. They're looking for similar things. So I think those community spaces, to let them work a little bit, because a lot of them are still working, and programming is important. And then we're available access to the water, because people are down here and can certainly see and feel the ocean, but getting on a boat is part of the privilege we're living in Pompano.
Anything else that anybody kind of wants to address, mention?
Well, I'll be happy. I'm the mayor of Pompano Beach. Give me an opportunity. I'll sell the city. Trust me. We've got so much stuff going on in Pompano. It's funny you mentioned pickleball. We actually somebody has come to Pompano Beach to open an indoor tennis pickleball facility. So it makes perfect sense. Indoors, air conditioned. They got the facility up north somewhere for, I guess, in the weather up there, because they figured it's a perfect fit here in South Florida. We got pickleball, it's all the rage, we all know that. But Pompano Beach, we've got so much stuff going on, and talking about the cultural aspect that Ty was touching on. It's throughout the city. we've got cultural things happening. I know we've got the Pompano Beach Jazz Festival that takes place down here on the beach area, on our Great Lawn. We just had the inaugural event just recently. We had, I think it was Arturo Sandoval. He was the headliner. So we know that people want to do more than just go to the beach. So the culture aspect brings in people, not just from Pompano Beach, but from outside our area, to get them to experience Pompano Beach and learn about what we've got. Because there still is kind of that attitude that we've all talked about, where Pompano Beach has been looked at for many years like that red-headed stepchild. That's the crazy uncle. We don't want to talk about them. But so we're still working to get people to come to Pompano, experience Pompano, see Pompano, and realize that we've got top quality development. We have got top quality restaurants. We've got top quality cultural entertainment venues happening in Pompano Beach, and it's really starting to read on itself, which is it's gratifying that it's all really coming together. But we've got so much more in Pompano Beach on the horizon. We've got major development which will be coming. I know that these guys are all aware of it. We've got major development coming at the intersection of Atlantic Boulevard and Dixie Highway. Actually, we're opening bids on that on the 29th, I believe, of September. So that's going to be a huge opportunity. It runs from Dixie Highway all the way to I-95 on the north side of Atlantic Boulevard. Of course, out by the casino, we've got major development going on out there with the Quartz Corporation. And have a lot of stuff happening out there. It's already been announced at Top Golf. We've got all kinds of things happening out there. So Pompano Beach is really, we're on the move. and it's exciting. It's gratifying, like I said, to be the mayor of Pompano Beach right now. But it has taken a long time to get here. But what we're just starting to feel is going to be happening for a lot of years, because there is so much stuff still to come. And I know that as you guys have talked about, the development opportunities are still here at Pompano Beach, and that bodes well for the future. It's opportunity in Pompano, and we set the stage for a lot of good things to happen, and it's just it's exciting. It really is.
Just add one more thing that I forgot, which is one of our key selling points and something we pride ourselves on now incorporating in all of our condo developments. At Solomar, we started a wellness offering. Knowing in COVID, people were really worried about the bacteria or viruses traveling through the air. So we inserted extra air filtration units within our air handler units in the unit. So you can monitor the air quality within your unit, knowing that your air is at the utmost quality that is coming into your space. So you don't have to worry about contracting something that somehow miraculously gets through the air into your unit. So we have that air filtration in Solomar, and we've incorporated that into our offering at Casamar, in addition to extra water filtration throughout all the units.
I tend to focus on like where I like to go on vacation, right? You could choose to stay in Pompano, Fort Lauderdale, Delray, all three very different experiences. And I think to the mayor's point, which is good for us, because remember as developers, we don't like to own land for 12 years and not develop it. We came here, we believed in Pompano, and now the story's out. It's like the secret is out and people are coming, which is why you're seeing the success of Solomar and Casamar. And we saw it in our apartment building. We far exceeded our expectations, both on rents and exits. And so I think it's going to be different intentionally. I think that's a good thing, because you want to preserve the quality of life. But make no mistake about it, Pompano is on the map and people are coming here.
Yeah, it's just to add to that, we looked at Delray when we were first coming up with the concept of Pompano Beach, and because of course Delray they started before Pompano Beach to try and develop their community. But we saw part of what they did, and we copied part of it, but not all of it. We didn't. Here again, we are Pompano Beach. We want to be the best city in the country, and I feel we are. But there's nothing wrong with copying some good things that actually work, and we did that with Delray. We saw some things that they did that were working, so we copied some of those things. But yeah, we are Pompano Beach, and we're going to be different. Nothing against anybody else. Like I said, Fort Lauderdale, they got their Athens Beach, Delray has theirs. Pompano Beach, we got ours. And that's, but yeah, I've got nothing but good things to say about Delray. In fact, we hired one of the things that really kind of did transform Pompano Beach was in 2009. Just to give a real brief history, because it kind of gets into land planning and stuff like that. But in Pompano Beach, we have 2 CRAs, and they've been in existence for a number of years, and that's tax and financing. There's a bunch of stuff in it. But it had never really gone anywhere, our CRAs. And in 2009, the City Commission, as part of that, we decided to hire a firm to help us manage our CRAs. And one of the partners in that firm actually was the former director from Delray Beach, Chris Brown. And that was transformative for the city of Pompano Beach to get this team on board who had experience in Delray Beach, to really started the renaissance in Delray Beach, to then work in Pompano and help us start moving Pompano Beach forward. But like I said, we adopted some of what Delray did, but not all of it, because we're Pompano. We want to do things our way. But yes, Delray, great starting point for us. Thank you.
Do you see a future utilization of the prize lines?
Well, yes, of course, Brightline runs through Pompano, but eventually, I don't see a Brightline station in Pompano, but what I do see is, and it's already been slated for us to have a train station in Pompano Beach, which will be the commuter rail, which goes between the eastern corridor of the downtowns of Pompano Beach is going to be getting a station. Deerfield will have one. Oakland Park, Wilton Manors area will have one. There's going to be, of course, one in Fort Lauderdale, which will be the tie-in with the Brightline. So what will happen is you will get on the commuter rail at Pompano Beach and go to Fort Lauderdale, the Brightline station there, and then you'll catch the Brightline to go to Orlando or the West Coast or wherever you want to go. So it's you got these steps in the train transportation aspect where you've got little commuter rail which goes city to city. Then you have the midline, which is Brightline currently what they do, and then of course you've got the long line like Amtrak. So they all feed into each other, which then gets people off the road, gives them a better way to go up and down the East Coast, which is really what we need. Because talk about challenges, of course, that's not unique to Pompano, but every community in South Florida, of course, is the traffic. That's a huge challenge. That's why, yes, we are so invested in the future of train travel and that commuter rail. It's already been, the county's involved. I mean, it's a big project, but that is not, we are slated for a station in Pompano.
Anyone else?
I have one more question, and I'm done. Do you see any condo hotel projects coming to Pompano Beach?
Yeah, he asked about condo hotel projects. You guys are right.
I mean, there's none that I know of as of now.
How many club memberships, as by the way, and all of you, because I've been, I was talking in the 80s right now, was here in Pompano, lived in Brickell, and then in Fort Lauderdale. I've been working in Pompano for the past 10 years, so for me, it's historically all of the growth that we're witnessing. From the outside, they're coming here, we need this, we need this, we need this. So 2025 is a big cycle for Pompano. There's a lot of groundbreakings happening, and we're gonna have turnover, so we're increasing projection for 2025, 2026, in terms of not just residential, but like beach club. You had mentioned condo hotels for younger people that are looking to maybe work, overseas, but also have a place to maybe turn into investment property. So you have an insight on that?
I think you can speak more to the entertainment side. At least, our focus is more on housing, right? I mean, I think, and also like the mayor's saying, the city's doing a lot, infrastructure, putting money back into the city to just not only beautify Pompano and do the necessary things that we need to grow, but also provide sites or areas where people can do entertainment, dining. And I think we have more residents coming to an area, and there's more demand for those services, right? And, so we talked about, it was more of those dining and entertainment weren't really what the people wanted to do that were living here. Now with this new demographic of buyers that are coming in, such as yourself, living here, there's the want for that kind of entertainment and dining. So I think you'll see a lot more venues open up over the next year by 2025 for sure.
Yeah, that's, I don't know any plans for beach club, or I'm not really quite sure what that would look like. Of course, from the city side, we try to accommodate all types of recreational opportunities for our residents. And it's a changing environment constantly. It's not just the cultural aspect, but also the recreational aspect. I mean, 10 years ago, pickleball didn't exist. Now we've got, we can't build pickleball courts fast enough. So if there's a need for something, then absolutely, we're open to any ideas in Pompano Beach. We got, as part of our, we just, 5 years ago now, we passed a big general obligation bond, which we've got a lot of recreational facilities which are being built as a result of that. So it's always a moving target. What's the next big thing for recreation and things of that nature? But we're always open to ideas. If there's a need, if there's a desire, if there's a big enough audience for something, then we're there. Yeah.
I'll just point on that just quickly. We have looked at sites, analyzing them for that kind of model you're talking about, where you can rent out your unit and you're not here and gain some income. We've been successful with that model in Hollandale Beach in Hollywood, and hopefully our project together in downtown Miami. But there has to be a significant demand, and so it hasn't really penciled out for us on the sites we've looked at yet. Just, specifically with the increased land costs and construction costs that we've seen in the past 24 months. It's not out of our head, it's just we haven't found the right site to make the numbers work.
Hopefully we can sit down because downtown Miami, legacy, local project first, there was a demand. The broker community, we had a huge demand for short-term rentals, rebuilding, and student sake. Really is.
Noted.
I think we have to wrap it up. But thank you all. One more question.
This is a good one. Any consideration on intercoastal property for low-rise multifamily development with boat slips? They've had tremendous success in Fort Lauderdale, especially on
We've
Plus.
had tremendous success here. Our Roadstone at Oceanside was exactly that. It was on intercoastal multifamily apartments and boat slips. And as I mentioned, our rents and our exit price set a record in South Florida. So absolutely, it's hard to find.
Yeah.
If you have one, tell me nothing.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that was one of the big selling points for a piece of property just south of here, where the Ritz was being built, because they had both sides. They had the beach side and the coastal side, and that was the big. Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
Super excited to announce in the near future, so we will keep you all posted. And I want to take a moment to introduce the A team in the back over there. I have a stellar sales team. I would not be here without all of them. So thank you. Have a great evening.